Thanks, Matt. So Matt and Amy asked if I could just do a quick, or brief, I should say, update on the state of the concrete pavement marking in Florida. And that's basically what I'm going to do. Just to sum it up in a quick statement, I think the state of it is actually pretty good. We're doing excellent in this, that was what I would say. You'll see that towards the end. All right, so just a brief outline. I'm just going to kind of give you a background on it, go over some past concrete pavement projects, kind of how we select the different projects, and then what we have coming up in the future. So a little bit of background. So the department has an agreement with industry. This was put in place, I want to say, about 8 years ago, I think around 2012, to essentially come up with an average of about 40 lane miles per year over a 5-year period. So not necessarily 40 miles per year, but over that average, we need to hit at least 40 lane miles of concrete pavement. And we essentially go through the work program when we're building it, and we try to identify concrete pavement projects that make good engineering sense. By that, I mean projects that probably have high truck traffic. It's a corridor that's got rutting issues, historically that a project ruts, probably due to trucks, or potentially heavy transit use. Buses can be very hard on our asphalt. In addition, we also look at, I think that's about it, yes. So just mainly heavy trucks. Anytime we have a project where we are constantly rehabilitating that section of asphalt, for whatever reason, it makes good engineering sense to convert it over to concrete. That's what we're looking for. A lot of times it's intersections where you got trucks stopping and there's a lot of shoving going on there. You'll see where we basically redo a whole intersection. It's actually one of the projects that I'm going to give you a little more update on it anyways, background. So again, these projects are programmed in the new 5th year. That way we're always building the new 5th year, and that way we know how much budget we have in that new 5th year. There's kind of so much, as the secretary was talking about before, there's only so much pie to go around, and we need to make sure that we budget that in the new 5th year when we know how much pie we have to divvy up between all the projects. It's very difficult to add once the pie has been divvied up. And the secretary says, now we got to go through there, and now we have a smaller pie, so we're going to have to look and see where we can reduce some of those projects. So here's just a summary of the last 5 years, starting in 17 through 21, our current year. You can see the top row there is the concrete pavement lane miles that we've done. So the total is 267 concrete pavement lane miles over the last 5 years at a cost of about $162 million. That's just looking at the concrete pavement. That's not the entire project cost. That's basically what I did there is just pulled out just the concrete pavement cost. And that was over about 102 different projects. So that gives us an average of 53 lane miles per year over that 5-year period. So we're exceeding the 40 that we agreed to hit. All right, so these are basically just a sampling of all the projects that what I talked about. If you want the entire list of all 102 projects through these 5 years, just send me an email. I can get it to you. I didn't think you guys would want to. There's 2 that are highlighted. I'll give you a little bit of background on that in some later slides. You can see kind of the main purpose of putting this on there is that you can see it's kind of divvied up between all the districts. It's not all focused in one district. You can see in the lane miles, they're not real big projects. When we get to the future slides, you'll see there are have some pretty significant amount of lane miles there, which is why they say that the state of the pavement is actually looking good for the future. We had a concrete test road project that was let, and it was withdrawn twice for various reasons. I did just get an email the other day. You'll see here it's in 20 that it was actually awarded. So we will be moving forward with that concrete test project, which will help give us some additional research on concrete pavement, which is a good thing. And then this is just the current year, 21. So these projects are, you could say some of these are future ones. You'll see the letting date. Only 3 of these were let in July. The rest are all going to be from October on. So These are all future projects. All right, so this is State Road 9B, just some examples of some projects that we've already completed. This one was actually a while further back than 5 years. So it was let in April 2015, new road construction at about 141,000 square yards of concrete pavement with 11.5 inches of concrete on top of the 4 inches of asphalt and 12 inches stabilization. And the concrete cost itself was $6.6 million. This one was down in District 6 on Chrome Avenue. This project was a reconstruction project in unincorporated Miami-Dade County for about 3.5 miles. The scope project is to reconstruct the existing 2-lane divided roadway to a 4-lane divided roadway. It included drainage, signalization, lighting, signing, paved markings, as well as 2 new bridges crossing the Black Creek Canal. Some additional improvements include a guardrail and a new shared use path. So there we go. So letting was in March of 2016, was completed in 2018. So kind of what I was just saying. So the total project construction cost of that one was $35.8 million, which included everything, not just the concrete pavement. This was one of the ones that was on that list. It was highlighted, State Road 200, A1A in Nassau County. You can see a typical section there. You probably can't read it because it's so small, but it shows the project's 6-lane divided highway with 12-foot lanes at 6.5-foot bike lanes and 6.5-foot inside shoulder, the 12.5-foot grass median. So the construction on that one was in September of 2016. It was add lanes and reconstruct. You see in the picture, it's basically the first phase was almost done. They'll move traffic over onto the concrete and then put concrete over where the traffic currently is. So it was about 95,000 square yards of concrete pavement, again, 10.5 inches thick, 4 inches of asphalt, 12 inch stabilization, and the concrete cost only was $6.4 million. This was a little special project, I guess you could say. State Road 82, District 1, Lee County. We actually did all State Road 82, but the intersection part of it here that you see was done in concrete. And they did it as an innovative continuous flow intersection, a CFI. It was designed and constructed at the State Road 82 at Daniels Parkway and Gunnery Road intersection, utilizing a rigid jointed plain concrete pavement system. For those of you that are not familiar with some of our new innovative intersections, CFI is an at-grade intersection that removes the conflicting left turns at an intersection by placing them several hundred feet in advance, which you can see here. That's the left turn lane, where they'll just put it in advance of the main intersection so that left turn arrow signal phase can be eliminated, which makes the intersection function much more efficiently when you reduce the phases. Just another shot of it. So the CFI utilized about 53,600 square yards of concrete pavement with intricate concrete joint spacing. We used the FDOT rigid pavement design manual to design it. The pavement structure consisted of 10 inches of plain cement concrete. It's pretty consistent. Most of our concrete seems to be about 10 to 10.5 inches with a 4.5 inch base and then the stabilization underneath it. The pavement concrete cost there was $3.9 million. And this was the first CFI in the state of Florida. And I think it's the first in the United States that was constructed out of concrete pavement. So future, so like I said, it's looking good. So you can see here concrete pavement miles in the top row from 22, which is next year, all the way out through 26. We're projecting 434 concrete lane miles is what would be programmed at a cost of $302 million, and that's over 93 projects. So what that quickly tells you is that 434 compared to 267, you got 93 versus the 102. So you got more lane miles, less projects. That means larger projects is what that's end result's going to be. There's a couple of bigger ones in there that you'll see when I go through that. So I'll jump right into that. So here are some of the future projects. And again, this is just a sampling of those projects. If you want the full list, just send me an email and I can get it for you. You will see the lane miles over here. You got some a little bit bigger, 16, 15, 13 miles. 23, pretty similar to what you saw in the previous last 5 years. And then when you get to 24, get a little bit bigger. You got 22, 37, 16 lane miles. And then when you get out to 25 is where you can see some really big ones. One really large one at 102 lane miles. So that's a very large project you guys might want to put on your radar to focus on that one. And then in 26, similar, some of our standard projects, nothing real large. But you'll see if you go through there, a lot of work in District 7, which in the higher urbanized areas, that's where you will see more use of the concrete pavement. So we also look to use concrete where another place where it makes sense, I didn't mention it earlier, is where you don't want to have to go out there and rehabilitate the pavement on a fairly routine basis just because of the traffic volumes that you're having on the roadway. Last but not least, I know the Secretary kind of already gave a pretty good update on the multi-use corridors or MCORs. So I'm not going to go into all that detail. I think you covered that pretty well. My main focus was on concrete pavements. That's what Amy and Matt asked me to look at. For MCORs, it's still too early in the process to really, we haven't determined what type of pavements we would be using on any of these projects. That's still yet to be determined. So that's pretty much the only update that I have on MCORs.